Miami-based organization doing wonderful things. And
Okay.
now they finally are here.
We
Yes.
went to they had an Earth Advocacy Day that they were helping to host in Tallahassee just this past week, and we went and we met with a lot of the because we're part of the Gainesville and Alachua branch of the Clio Institute. We met with a lot of people who were from Miami, from Tampa. It's over
Beautiful.
all of the almost all of the universities in Florida have
That's so
yeah the
exciting.
Clio Institute.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, it's
How
really
many are in
growing.
your group?
In
Uh,
the Gainesville one, so you know Ellen. We have
Yes.
Ellen. We have her. I don't even know what her title would be, but Natalie Triana. She is
I've,
her direct assistant,
I've
basically.
met Natalie.
And we
oh, you've
are
met her?
two. Yeah, we are two students from UF who are a part of it, and we actually call the four of us cover all of Alachua. So
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and then there's like campus-based organization. So there's something called Gen Clio. So they have like the Clio version, but like as a student organization on campus.
Beautiful.
So it's kind of like a
And
club.
how many are in that? Do you have an idea?
That one,
probably close to
yeah.
30, 40 people.
Oh,
It's a mix of the
wonderful.
leadership and the students on campus.
Wonderful.
Are,
Okay.
Okay, my
okay.
questions are loading. Internet again.
It's a great angle.
Are you trying to get on the internet?
No, I'm just trying to download the questions, but I have them here.
Okay.
So
I think the bamboo was a great choice.
Yes, I love it. There's a little alcove under the bamboo that's so sweet over there. The children love to play under it. I live next door to 4 grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah.
okay, that works. Okay.
So, well, I guess we could start off with introduce ourselves a little bit. So, my name is Jaden Ajoda. I am a junior here at the University of Florida. I'm studying political science, economics, and believe it or not, European studies. And
Why not?
and both Ava and I are part of the Clio Institute. We're two of their media interns, and we're working on a project called Let's Talk Climate. And I'm sure you know a little bit about that. You've heard a bit about that. But in essence, what we're trying to do is we're trying to kind of meet local activists and local climate educators and people who are involved in decisions to help our climate kind of where they are, talk to them about their experience, and kind of hear what inspires them and hopefully inspire a few other people too.
Nice.
So,
Thank
So
you.
yeah,
Well
Jaden,
said.
you summed it up pretty well. So my name is Eva Galazzi Bruno. I'm the other intern. I'm studying political science at the University of Florida, and I'm doing a minor in environmental justice and policy, just because I want to get to learn more about environmental justice. So this is also why I got involved with the Clio Institute, trying to see how climate advocacy can be enhanced, both like at the local levels, but also like state levels or federal levels. So I'm very excited for this.
and one thing I'll say before we start, when like we're talking to and stuff, like eye contact is great, but if you're when you're answering the questions, if you can try and make an effort to look here at the camera, right, exactly where you're looking, it's perfect. Yeah. So
Perfect. Yes, that's actually great.
Okay.
And then yeah, there's gonna be around 20 questions, the ones that you saw, and it's going to be around 30, 45 minutes. If you mess up, don't worry, it's fine. We can start
I
again,
or,
and
or
then
you can edit it out,
yes,
right?
yes, we can
Yes.
edit it. So you're totally
How
fine.
how long a final project are you looking for?
so whenever we finish the interview, usually like we said, it's about 30, 40 minutes, and then we kind of do a couple different things with it. We'll have the entire 30, 40 minute like block of video that we can use. We like to make a short and condensed version, about 15 minutes. That's like a little bit easier to watch for people to kind of get 15 minutes worth of time. And something we also do recently because it's so popular nowadays
The
is like
1 minute.
one minute
Yes,
short form video content. We do a lot of those as
Yeah.
well. So
Wonderful.
we'll send you all of that when it comes
All
out.
right.
like a short reel, like a 1 minute
Yeah.
short reel.
Good.
Yeah. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us.
Okay.
All right. All good. Okay. Okay. So let's start a little bit with your background, your work with environmental justice. How did you get involved with it? What led you to become involved with it?
Okay. Let me get comfortable speaking here. But I think the original inspiration for me is when I was in college and the Apollo 28, or no, sorry, what was it? Apollo 8. My inspiration came when Apollo 8 went to the moon. I was in college and I was one of the people on this planet who saw us from the moon. And it was such a powerful moment in my life that it really changed the way I saw everything and just began a life of caring for the planet, loving this spot, and hurting, feeling hurt when I could see that we were not taking good care of it. And of course, over the years, it's been a saddening story to see all the changes and try to do what I could as an individual and a parent um, to make change. And it's just hard to see sometimes that you're really helping, but I know we are.
Well, one of the things you do to help is you work as the Climate Collaboratory founder, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that program and a little bit more about what your work involves?
Sure. I went through many stages of environmental awareness and trying to be an educator in different ways. Um, I ended up in 2018 meeting a bunch of people at We the World, which is an organization in New York, and they work pretty closely with the United Nations, a lot of NGOs there. And as I worked with them, I just got this storyline going in my mind and working with people and coming together. Decided that we have so many resources available to us that I wanted to really make those. It was my mission to start getting those out to other people. And so the way I did it was with a what I call a collaborative storytelling adventure. And we have fictional characters who go around interviewing real people, and that we are telling a story together about how the human family is coming together to take care of each other and the earth and all living things.
That's beautiful, and that like makes me wonder what kind of impact do you hope these specific projects have on communities and the world.
Well, the way we're focusing it now is right here in Alachua County, Florida. And I've been working with people at the university and at the government level to do it as a community wide, but really county wide program that is hopefully going to involve people. Well, it is involving people of all ages in becoming aware and learning how they can take part in making a healthier future.
You talked a little bit about working with like government and local officials. I think when a lot of people think about climate policy and climate action, a lot of times they think about what can we do, policy wise, lawmaker, Congress. The work that you're doing, it sounds to me like it's a lot more individualized. It's a lot more about what we can do as everyday people. How meaningful is that to you?
Oh my goodness. Government can make policy and it never gets down to the people. And so, what we're looking for is to have, especially young people, helping to make their families, their communities aware of what is happening and some of the things that we can do. And at the governmental level, the piece that I brought into our storytelling is the county's climate action plan and making that accessible so that even children understand that we're working on this together. And here's how the government can do it, here's how businesses can do it, are doing it. Here's how people in schools are doing it, and just telling all of these stories about the many, many ways that people are helping to make a cleaner, greener future.
Yeah, and you mentioned, climate awareness. So I wonder, how would you define it, or better said, like, what does climate awareness mean to you specifically?
Well, in my own case, I was aware that the planet was warming, and I was actually working at the county at the turn of the century. And I was public education coordinator for the Office of Waste Alternatives. And so I was the reduce, reuse, recycle lady. And I would go out and talk with kids in schools and adults and community groups. And I would start it with, I'm here, we're learning how to make less waste. And a planet is a terrible thing to waste. And so we are learning how to take care of it. So that was kind of the level. I would talk to children and say, your grandchildren will feel the effects of this. Your grandchildren. So, what is that? 4 generations after me. And here we are, the way that I became passionate about the climate is in 2013. I took a course that came from the Baha'i National Center about the spiritual and scientific dimensions of climate change. And that transformed my whole way of looking at this thing because it really went into the science I had never known. I had a very general, vague sense of what global warming was about. This really dove into it and it was horrifying. It was just boing, eye opening. And at that point, it also taught about the role that Exxon in particular played in the disinformation about the climate and all that. My father worked for Exxon for almost 40 years. I grew up as we were very well off, shall we say, that I felt like I lived in a bubble that was not affected by the things that affect so many people. And so, with that, I took a personal responsibility to do what I could to make up for what the company that had treated me so well that was not treating the planet well. So that's when I really turned all of my work. Up until then, I had considered myself a peace educator, and then I became a climate educator. And I felt like um, this is the way that I can teach peace because everybody is affected by the climate, right? And it is affecting every single human being. So the spiritual part of that course was really looking at the way through human history there's been a promise of peace on earth. And so the way I understand it now, we need peace on and with the earth. And so that really became the way I approached this whole thing. I took the course with 4 other Baha'is, and at the end of the course, they say, so now that you know this, what are you going to do? And what we did was start a series of gatherings. The first one was a panel discussion with people from 6 different faith groups and telling about what they were doing. And then we did workshops and movie nights and, just a regular series for several years. And then it evolved so that for the last, I think, 4 years now, we've been doing a monthly devotional and climate conversation. And in that, we bring in the teachings from all the religions and cultural traditions. We use quotes from Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and we use quotes from the Earth Charter, and we use the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we put it all together in this. Just it's a hug. It's just a really lovely gathering with the spiritual and scientific dimensions of climate change. And so through that, I have been aiming my favorite audience to work with is people of faith. So going around to the different faith groups, that's the reason that I'm so attracted to the COAD, the community organizations active in disaster. It's people of faith and goodwill. So it from the faith groups and service organizations in the community, gathering together for monthly meetings, getting to know each other, creating this network of support so that we can address in unity this the climate disasters that are getting more severe, more frequent. And so we have developed this over the last year or so and had good practice during the hurricane season with two, you know, thankfully not too severe here. But one, Helene, gave us a wallop. And so my role was not to go out and pick up debris or help anybody put a tarp on their roof, but my role was to sit in my little house and make phone calls to the people who registered with Alachua County Emergency Management that they were in need. They had been affected by this hurricane and they needed help. And so they went into a database. I would call quite a few people and just have conversations. So what's happening and and I could give them, point them in the direction of people who could actually help with whatever it was they needed. And it just felt so wonderful to have something that I could do as an individual to really help the people in need. So,
I'm really interested in kind of this bridging that you've done between faith and climate. Because I think a lot of times when people think about climate change and they think about, the proponents for protecting our climate, a lot of people take a very science-based approach. They talk about, how it's the science that says certain things, it's the science that we need to follow. And I really find it quite fascinating how you've made it more than just, it's not just about the facts, right? It's about our everyday lives and it's about what we truly believe in. How has that kind of messaging made it easier to bridge the divide of people who believe in climate change and the people who don't?
well, I figure everybody on this planet at this time in Earth's history is affected by these changes. And whether we agree that, what's causing it or not, that's not important. The fact is, we are being affected by it now today. And look, we just had a hurricane. And maybe you don't even need to talk about climate change at all. We just had a hurricane. People have hurt, we can help. And so just seeing the commonalities where we can agree and um, finding ways to just be of service to whatever the need is in the community. Yeah. I don't try to change anybody's mind about climate change. I listen to where they are and what they think, and there's always a way to communicate on something that's important to them.
Well, on a similar note, then, I mean, you mentioned a little bit about the presence of disinformation when it comes to climate. So I wonder how could we, or better said, like what type of recommendations or advice would you have for local residents in Alachua County to get involved in the fight for climate justice?
I think that helping people to be aware of how the different strata of society that we have in our county right here, um, that there are people who can weather the storms because they have well constructed homes and they can uh, hunker down and not be afraid for the most part. The other people who are not so well off and may have homes that are in less protected places so that the flooding is more prevalent and anyway, just being aware that not everybody is affected by these things, that people who are uh, I'm, I'm trying to think of the way that it makes sense, who've not had the advantages that some of us have had, are affected more deeply and are not able to get up and move if their home is demolished. What are the options open to them when they have less financial wherewithal to deal with these things? Yeah.
Well, I want to take a kind of a different angle in terms of these questions now. I kind of want you to think back to you in college, right? You're watching the Apollo mission, right? What's what would you now say to you in college about all of the work that you've done, the things that you've accomplished? Like, what would your message to your past self be?
Keep your eyes open. Be aware of the science. Be curious. Be angry. Be active. Find a way to turn the feelings into action. I think that the feeling of awe that I had back then was just so. It was such a marvelous gift to the human family to be able to see ourselves and who we are on this tiny little speck. And it it oh, I don't know. I think just stay curious and believe science. Believe science and get into it. Dig into it faster and more than I did. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, I agree. And then, like as Jaden said before, you did take, climate justice just beyond the science. You did create kind of a collaborative environment for it, a collaborative system for it. So, based on your, past experiences, all the work that you've done for it, if you had to describe it as a metaphor, right? This is kind of a creative question, but if you had to describe all of your work, your experiences within environmental justice, how would you describe it?
Okay, so here I got one. I have long seen all the, from the time that I became aware, that anyway, this is in the peace education part that I became aware that so many people are doing so many things for the betterment of the world. And what I learned as a young mother was if I want to encourage something, I need to catch my kids doing something good, right? And so that's the attitude that I went out into the community. I'm catching people doing, ooh, you're doing something wonderful, and let me